Are you looking for a coding solution where you can own your own code factory? This is Sean here. I've been developing VibeSheet for the last few months, and after hundreds of hours of development, we finally have a working code factory inside Google Sheets. So, really cool stuff. This is phase one, and I'm going to demo what we have as of today. And then moving forward, we're going to be expanding out this entire flow. So, the mission at this point is a code factory or an engine, right? So you can feed it ideas. It can get ready for its own analysis and plan, and they can start actually designing out the entire application or app or software, or the thing you're building. It can lay it all out and then just start automatically building it all, and then you can export it and move it into wherever you want to take it. And this can build a lot of stuff. There's probably over 80 different languages offered by AI these days, and that opens up the door for a lot of potential. So without further ado, let me jump into the demo here. So to get started, pretty simple stuff. There is a menu at the top. You'll be able to set global settings. And then right now, there's a few sheets here. We have the script builder, which is the code factory itself. We have a plan builder, which helps you prepare for building. And I'll demo this for you real quick. And then we have some AI functions just as a bonus. There will be more sheets added. There'll be an idea generator to track ideas, and we'll have like a dashboard as well that'll manage everything. And eventually what will happen is you'll be able to feed this a whole bunch of different apps and ideas all at one time, and it will just slowly build it all for you. So you can just turn it on and the thing will just start running, and it'll just build apps for you nonstop. Really cool stuff. So here we go. To get started, the first thing you're going to want to do is add in an API key. So you're going to bring your own gas. So what you'll do is you'll click here at the top, global settings. And this is going to open up into setting your AI key. There's a bunch of different options here. Pretty popular option that I would highly recommend is Open Router. The reason I am recommending Open Router is it gives us access to a lot of different AI models. So I'm going to come into my Open Router account. I don't have any keys in here right now, so I'm going to go ahead and create one. I actually had keys. I just removed it for this demo. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create this name, create my key. So I got my key here, and I just click copy. And then you just jump back into the sheet and add your key. So I'll click here, add your your Open Router key, paste it in, hit OK. Now, the good news is this will auto-select the model for you by OpenAI O4 Mini. This whole entire system's been built around O4 Mini. It's really a coding agent, so we're going to really leverage it. If you ever want to change your models, whatever AI system you're using, I have this cool little feature. So you can simply click on Fetch. So if you click on it, it'll bring back all of the available AI models available in this account, and there is a lot in Open Router, so it's super powerful. DeepSeek is in here, Google's in here, Meta is in here. There's over 200 models, so it's a little overwhelming. I do recommend, if you're starting out, that you stick with the one that's auto-selected, that O4 Mini. Stay with that. Later on, if you want to change, you can. So next step, I'm going to go ahead and show you the plan builder. The plan builder is a series of questions, and it's designed to help you better formulate how you're going to guide the AI to automatically build what you want it to build, right? You need to be able to give it good, clear details. Like, you don't need a hardcore document that has everything you need, but you do want to have some clear instructions of what it is you're building. So for this demo, we're going to do a Google Sheet app, and then I'm going to click load these questions. So it's going to automatically add some questions related to Google Sheet. And then you just have to fill out these questions here. So for the sake of the demo and the speed, I'm going to pause this. I'm going to fill this out, and then we'll come back and take a look. Okay, so I have filled out the questions, answered the questions here, and then you can see here I've listed out everything. Right now, let's see, I have this set to just continue. Let's wrap this instead of the overfill. So you can see I filled out a little bit more for the flow just so we could see what that would look like. But anyways, this is real general. Like I just kind of answered the questions. I didn't really put a whole heck of a lot into this, and I think this is pretty good. So feel free to pause the video and read through this if you'd like. I do provide project examples, note examples. So you could come through and look at all the different options. There are different project types, and I have examples of different types of projects that you can build here. So feel free for inspiration. You can look here. But this plan builder will help you build a plan. It'll build a Google URL link that'll be added here. So let's go ahead and generate that. So step 3 is just simply generating that file. So what will happen is all of these questions and your answers are sent over to AI for analysis so that we can build a planning notes document. And so it shouldn't take too long. We'll see it pop up here, and then we'll move right into building some code. All right, so we have our project plan here. There is now this green box. It says open document, and there's also a link here as well. Both go to the same place. Now, if you open this up, you'll notice that it has a project plan. You can review this compared to the notes, but this is going to have general requirements. How is it used? You'll have flows. Just generally the things that you included in here. So there is a lot here, potential requirements. These are the different, looks like file types. And yeah, so I think this all looks pretty good. So what will end up happening is we will take this URL and we're gonna add it into the script builder. And so the script builder will actually take these notes and expand on things even further. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to give the AI architect enough information to start building. So this script builder, we just got to feed it what we need. Really simple. There are 2 things here, yellow spots to add, and this thing will start building. So project name is an email sender. The first things first, there's a bunch of different projects here in this dropdown. You just need to make sure you pick the right one. We're going to leave this on Google Sheet, but if you're building like a WordPress plugin, Shopify, if you're building like a website, HTML website, or you want to do like an application, you'd pick from this list here. Very easy to add more as well. So we can talk about that depending on your project needs. So email sender, and then from here, I'm going to paste in that URL, and then we're going to feed it that. Other than that, that's really it. There's a nice sidebar here, and you can see there's phase 1 and phase 2. If you're not really sure how this all works, how it runs, you have questions. What is phase 1? What is phase 2? If you scroll down, you will find this documentation button. If you click on it, it'll pop up an overview of everything in here. So you can see if you click on any one of these, like if we want to go look at the component life cycle, like what is, how does this thing run? So if we click that, it'll explain to you what's phase 1 and what is phase 2. So that's all right here. But you can read through this, a little bit of documentation. We also have training as well that goes over all this video training. But yeah, there is cycles here, cleaning cycles. So after we're done with phase 1, then phase 2 is cleaning. So we work on optimizing the code. So the default is set to 2, but you can do 0, 2, 3, 4, or 6. And then really that's it. That is all you have to do. So we click start, and then what's going to happen is this environment's going to start planning out all that entire, like all that stuff you added, all those requirements. It's going to look at all of it and start building out what you need. So because it's kind of like Manus inside Google Sheets for building code. So I'm going to click start, and we're going to let this thing run. What I'll probably do for the demo here is I'm going to pause this off and on and start it. I'm going to sit here and let this run. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes, but we're going to let this thing run. And, at the meantime, if you're curious on how much this is all going to cost and the price, we do have our open router here. And, if I look at my keys, we can track the how much usage is here. So I just created this key. So everything that I'm doing will be able to track the costs on this. So right now I am not even at 1 penny yet. Very close, but we're almost at a penny. So we'll check that off and on during this demo. But for now, what's happening is this system is reading the project notes, and it's going to build a project plan right here in E2. It's going to add a bunch of notes here, and then we'll be slowly building this out. So let me pause this while it keeps running, and then I'll play it as we keep advancing. All right, so we just got the output here. I had it paused for about 3 seconds. This may expand pretty big here. So all you got to do is click on this top left corner and then drag this row just a little bit, and it'll resize everything for you. So, and then I click back into cell A1. A1 is not used for anything, and that's sort of on purpose. If you click here, you're going to clear the work area. So we don't want to impact the work area as best we can. If you end up clicking down in here, you kind of end up locking out cells. It's kind of a weird thing with Google Sheets. So, but yeah, the sidebar is running. You can see there's a message area here, AI agent planning your project structure and components. So it's going through and planning everything out. You can see even as I've been talking right now, it's building out all of your components on the left, and it's building out the overall project plan. And what it's doing is it's building the project plan, laying out the foundation. Then it's reviewing what it did, and it's expanding and making sure it covers everything in that project plan. So there's a little bit of it thinking through and architecting everything that you're going to need. So all of that's in motion right now. And so we have some flags here, F and G. And so right now we are in the plan reviewed. So that means it's reviewing the plan and sort of building everything out for you. On the far right, you can see we have some dependencies, like how are the files tied together. So it does all that automatically. And then on the very end here, there's some other columns that just track optimizing the code. Now, there's nothing for you to do with all that. It's just there, and it does it automatically. So we've moved into building since I've been talking. The code is now step by step going over every column. So what will end up happening is every row, one at a time, gets built, and we end up with our final code here in column H. When that's done, that is phase one complete. Phase two, we start a cleaning cycle, and so you're going to have your code reviewed and optimized, and we'll take the code that's in column H, which is the final, and we'll move it into this updated. And that's on all it's automated. You don't have to do anything. So just say how many cycles you want, and it will jump right into those cleaning cycles. Why would you pick 2 over 6? I think, if you find that VibeSheet is working really well for you with 2 cycles, there's no reason to do 6, right? Like, do the minimum. That way you're not spending money for the sake of spending money. So just let it do its thing. And then you'll notice there's some data here up in A2 and B2. You don't have to do anything. Those are just tracking the overall environment. So like this is B2 is tracking everything that it's working on, and A2 is tracking progress. Again, nothing for you to do there. It's just kind of fun to watch it. It will increment, it will track, and these cells are used to help with the mapping across the application, so that as it's building, it understands what's being built globally, which is really cool stuff. But yeah, right now this is just going to run row by row, and start building everything. And uh, you'll also notice that there's a script review here. If you see these two brackets, it usually means that the AI didn't find a problem, and it's just going to move right into the final script with similar to what it found here. So you can see it expanded based upon what was in there and all the notes. So this is your final script for this section right here. And that's it. So it is on its way building. That's the email sender. Yeah, so this is the entry point that manages the menus. So it's all managing everything. As far as the overall big plan, you can come in here and look at it and can see kind of what's going on here. But you'll have all your notes for what all the files are doing, the functions in there. And if you keep going down, it'll have your overall flow, like how does the app work? How does the flow work? It'll have features in here, and then it'll have a list of all the files. So these are all the files that you're going to find over on the left. And if I look right now, they are all a match. So you're good there. And then it'll tell you like, hey, these things are missing. I didn't make it clear that this was not an add-on. So, that's one thing that in the project scoping I could have mentioned. Other than that, this thing is just going to start cooking. So I'm going to pause this. We're going to let this run through phase one. And then as it starts to work on phase two, we'll keep looking at how this thing is working. But at this point, there's nothing to do other than just let this run. I will say one other thing. If you already have your own overall plan and you have all your own files and how you want this built, you just have like 75 files, like you have a really big project you want to build, this will do it. What you'll do is you'll need to lay in your own plan here. Maybe you could use ChatGPT or a tool to help you, like to build out a really big, robust plan. And then you could use ChatGPT or an AI to help you plan out all of the required files, especially if you have 50 to 75. You're going to need to think through all those and lay that out here. But if you spent time thinking that out, even spend an hour thinking out all the flows and everything you need and everything that goes into it, get it set up, you should be able to run this and build really big, robust projects. I think that this has got some serious potential behind it because a lot of these no code environments, I don't know if they're doing that. Like, I think they're doing smaller mini apps. I don't know if they're doing like big, complete, like really complicated builds that they could potentially have a lot more to it, feel a lot more robust. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this so the demo doesn't keep going on and on. We are at 18 minutes here. So I'm going to pause this. We'll get into phase two. We'll kind of check out what that looks like. And then I'll pause again, and then we'll kind of look at the final here. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this, and we'll take a look at phase two. Just a quick status update. We're almost there. We got a couple rows left. I just wanted to share what it looks like as we are building. So what I've done is I brought in color coding, and hopefully it's friendly for those that are colorblind, but try to use some kind of gray and light purple colors to kind of break things up. But essentially, you can see that all of these rows are looking pretty good. I don't know, I think we have 8 total components here. That means there's 8 rows of code. So we'll take a look here. Looks like I have 9 total. So let's see. Yeah, 9 total. What will end up happening is as we move into these final 2, the system will understand that. And then because I have this set at 2 as a default, which means I just didn't change anything, it'll immediately start going into cleaning the code and start working on optimizing. So, really not much for me to do. I just wanted to share with you progress. And then more importantly, you can see that the final output is being added here into column H. And then you can see each row has its own code, right? So as it's doing its thing. It's, producing this code and these functions and mapping everything out and building this out for us. So pretty cool stuff. And, to get all of this out of this sheet into files, if you wanted to deploy it to a server, in the sidebar on the right, there is an export scripts here. So we'll take a look at that when we get to that point. But, at this point, this thing is still cooking, and kind of moving right along. And a lot of people might say, hey, well, Sean, this is kind of slow. But I mean, what is slow versus fast when we're talking about developing an app? I mean, for a Google Sheet to be able to pull this off and be able to scale out really pretty good size modules and applications, which normally would take us hours and hours. It's not really so much about speed, like what's 5 minutes versus 30 minutes. We're talking about an app like this. So to me, to be able to have this done in about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, it's pretty awesome. From here, we can take the code, optimize it, build it out even further with, say, ChatGPT. Really cool stuff. So I'm going to let this keep cooking, and when it moves into the cycling, I'll show you what that looks like as well. We are now into the first part of the cleaning cycle. You'll notice these flags here. It says reviewing all code. You'll also see code review step 1, comprehensive analysis. So all of that is being worked on right now. Also in the sidebar, you can see notes here. Global status is reviewing all code. This is being pulled from F2. And we have this little mention here, code review, iteration 1, starting. So it's starting the cleaning cycle. All the rows have been initially built out. At this point, if you had this set to 0, everything would stop, and you could just grab the code that's in the finished column, so you can see what that looks like. The other cool thing that's happening is these cells here are being updated. So A2 and B2 are being updated. If you look at B2, it went through like a global analysis, and it's saying, okay, these are all the different issues that we've identified, and it's going to essentially start trying to solve all this. Which the good news is, as far as global issues go, I only see 1, 2, 3 issues. The rest of it is all just mapping stuff. So really cool stuff. That's all going to be worked out in the cleaning cycle. And we're going to have status in column C. Rows will be flagged as pass or fail. Just because something fails doesn't always necessarily mean it's failed. It could mean that the AI wants to try to clean up, and it wants to add some security or wants to do something, so it calls it a fail. I try to get the AI not to keep failing stuff, just to improving. Like, it needs to be, does the code run or not? Do we want to add in these extra things? So, we have to carefully decide, is it truly a fail or pass? So sometimes you'll see rows fail that are actually still okay. So when you get done with the cleaning process, if you see a couple failed rows, don't be concerned. Those things are, if there are any issues, we can easily clean those up after with, say, ChatGPT. So you may have, a couple things pop up that you got to fix. Generally, it's been minimal. Like, I've literally had in the last few tests, like 3 to 4, and they have taken me maybe 15 minutes to fix and clean up as I'm moving the code in and getting them running into Google Sheets. So pretty cool stuff. I'll go ahead and pause this. We'll let this keep cooking, and I can show you what it looks like when we get all our flags in place and it starts to update everything. So we're moving right along, but hopefully you get the idea of how all this works at this point. Okay, so I'm going to show you what it looks like as it's running the cycle test here. We're in the first cycle, and so things got flagged as pass. If you look in this data here, you'll see, and you can look at it too visually, but it's really easy to see here. We're on row 7. It's probably going to move. This will get updated to row. Oh yeah, it's moving on to row 7. It's the first failed row, so it's going to do that next. But basically, failed components are 5. We have 2 pass, total 9. So you'll see there's been 2 green that are passed, and it'll go through and just keep updating. So Yeah, pass. Sometimes it gets 3 or 4 on one shot. The big issue with why things are failing is if there's any usually mapping issues that it's working through with the global and fixing, or sometimes it just doesn't have quite the right code or something in place that the AI identifies. It just happens to think it could do something a little bit different or better. So again, a lot of these fails can be like what I call a soft fail, but technically they're probably okay. It's not the end of the world. Um, like yeah, so there's a couple things that happen that we can look at, and we'll clean up this over time and improve this is just phase one, so things will keep on improving. But I just want to share with you what it looks like. So you'll have green and red for pass or fail, and then what it'll do is it'll start coming down and it'll update things. It'll flag them as orange and say updated after that row has completed updating the process. And then it's just working out fixing issues. So um, it's all good. So for example, on the one that just ran, the issue here is you'll notice there's a script tag right in the beginning. For whatever reason, it added that, even though it's supposed to be an HTML sidebar. And if you come here and see, it actually removed it, and it gave you a proper sidebar. So that's cool. It did that. That's why this cycles is in here. Is if it makes a mistake, can it catch those little things and optimize them and do its thing, right? So, and as these models get more powerful, the cleaning script is, it may not have as many errors, so it's not a bad thing. But I do think the cleaning scripts can be used for a lot of different things, from security to efficiency to all sorts of cool stuff. It's not just about finding and fixing errors, but for the sake of this, we need it to fix problems. And then on the very far right, you'll see column M, N, O, and P. These are being used to actually make recommendations for things to fix. And so you can come in here and read and see kind of what's happening row by row. And then this will every cycle, this all gets refreshed and updated. And then you'll see in P2, we're tracking those cycles. We've already done one cycle, and it's working on the second one here. So yeah, you can see here, review iteration is 1. So we've gone through 1. The first cycle is always the review cycle, and then it goes through and cleans iteratively every cycle. So that's why we don't have one cycle available. You have to have at least 2 minimum, and it'll go through and start optimizing. But that's it. What I'll do is I will go ahead and pause this. We'll let this keep doing its thing. And after this is done, then we'll go into, exporting. But yeah, right now, this is going through its cycles, and we'll let it clean and keep optimizing. And again, once we're there, I'll go through and show you how to export these, and that'll be the end of the demo. So a little bit longer of a demo, but I think it's worth it so you understand how this works. All right, we just finished this cycle. It's wrapping up. Typically, it'll go through and basically reanalyze code, and usually ends up flagging everything again as pass or fail, so we can see what the final was. So it's going through kind of this code analysis, reviewing all code. But you can see on the far right, we are at I include done as the last step. So we are now in cycle 2 of 2, 67%. It's basically wrapping up. But you can see here, it's flagging stuff as pass or fail. We did have 2 out of 9. You can see here in the sidebar on the right, 2 out of 9. Again, this refreshes every 2 minutes, so it's kind of nice. You can see if something hasn't tracked or not. And yeah, let's see. So right now, it looked like 5 things passed, and we will keep on optimizing as best we can. So, but yeah, we've have 5 rows done, and we are, or sorry, 5 rows as passed. So we went from 2 to 5. We still have some failed ones. So like I said, a lot of times those can just be soft things. You can also see the notes here, why it failed, and it can optimize it. So some of this stuff, it just depends. Like it may not be a big deal. It's just flagging it. It thinks it wants to fix them, so it's going to attempt to do it. Uh, but yeah, that is kind of it. Right now, it did finish up. So we see 100% for phase one. We see 100% for phase two. So right now, this is done. Like this has wrapped up. And so we ended up getting, yeah, you can see here, project is complete. All scripts have been generated, and we are good to go to start testing code. Uh, Yeah, so at this point, we would then move into deploying the code. We can move it into Google Sheet. So every row is its own file. So we'd start moving all this into Google Sheet and then start going from there. The one thing that you might want to do is you might want to export this all to your Google Drive. And, it just depends on the type of app you're building. You may want to bring it all to your Google Drive. So we have a nice feature called export scripts. So if you click this, it'll open up a sidebar for exporting this project. This is going to load all of the files. So you can see here, you have an option to check the ones you want to export or not. It's up to you. I would imagine most people will just export them all. There's a couple different ways to export. You can do individual, combined, or as a project. Typically, I think you'll want to do project and then you just give it a name. So like this is an email sender Google Sheet. I've added this in here, append.txt to the end of the files. I think this is important because not all file types can be exported to Google Drive. So if you just add the txt, everything will get exported. And then you just got to adjust your files as needed, depending on where you're going to deploy your code. Um, and that can be automated as you're going from Google Drive into another system. You can automate that. And then also, alternatively, there's generate a README file and then build instructions. Like, how do you take this code and how do you deploy it onto a server? Like, how do you take this thing and like build your app, right? Like maybe you're not a developer and you don't know how to do that. Well, there's files that will help you. You can then work with ChatGPT and then you can start optimizing everything. And we are exporting the files with the .txt extension. What I've noticed is when we're exporting to Drive, Drive doesn't allow us to export any file type. So to solve this, I just said, well, let's just add a .txt on the end and hopefully that solves it. So I've done the best I can to make it so you can export. It does mean that what will happen is you'll end up with .txt at the end. So you can automate removing that. We can talk about that and figure that out. But you can see here, all the files have been exported successfully out of the sheet. There's even some additional files here, the README and the build instructions. So if I click open folder, this is going to jump right into my Google Drive, and you can see these are all the files that was generated by the VibeSheet. And so from here, I can download all this, and then I can one at a time start bringing this code into my Google Sheet, and then I can basically I have an app that's ready to rock and roll. Part of this is the README file. So if I click on README, you'll see there's some table of contents here. There's an overview, features, the architecture, installation, prerequisites, and then this is basically step by step how you actually install this. Like it tells you, go to extensions, go to app scripts in Google Sheet, then go through and, basically load all your files in. So create all these things and go from there. You can even use this other tool called Clasp. That's totally optional. Don't have to use that. It's a little bit more complicated, but this steps like literally tells you how to come through and start to configure this. You can also cut and paste this into ChatGPT and have it coach you through how to do it. But in general, it's very simple to bring this into a Google Sheet. That is it for the demo. Hopefully you found that helpful. There are some other sheets in here that are kind of cool to see. There's a log sheet, and what I really like about this is as the tool's running, it's showing you step by step everything it's doing. So it's going row by row, analyzing, showing you how it works, showing you the process. You can see here by the time we got done to the very end and we exported the scripts here, we had went through over 100 different logs. And in each event, in each one of these, there's a whole bunch of stuff happening. So even though this just logged one thing, there's a bunch of processes in there. So you can see you did 100 different steps. I mean, imagine trying to type that into ChatGPT and cut and paste. That's what this is saving you. Like, it's saving you having to do who knows? I mean, you could be talking 200 to 300 steps just to end up with, clean code and all this stuff. And I know I've done it. I have asked for, you know, uh, all the files I need. I've brought them into environments, and I do file by file. And then, I have to make sure they all map correctly. Then I have to go and fix and debug. I mean, there's so much that I'm having to do manually. And you don't think about how many things you're doing because you're just doing them quickly. But all those little tiny steps add up. So you actually are seeing it here in real time. So pretty cool to have the log, I think. It's kind of fun. There is a document to show you how to run the tool. So if you ever want to know, hey, what do I need to add for the script builder? It just tells you how to run it. Triggers, there's trigger sheet here. This will tell you if a trigger is running or not. The project's done. It's self shut down. So it deleted its own trigger. Last sheet that comes here is a list of different example projects. These just to give you ideas. So you could take these and expand on these if you wanted to, but these give you an idea of like the sort of things you can build. So that's it for the overview. Thank you for checking out VibeSheet. I am really excited to see what you think of the overall project. I think you're going to be able to build some really cool stuff. And with this tool, I think we've done a good job giving you some really powerful tools that I think go a little bit above and beyond some of the no code solutions. You will have to deal with a little bit of code, but I think that's kind of exciting. And if you're willing to take that on and deploy code and learn, I think it's just going to make you a much more well-rounded technology person. And the other cool thing is there are tools coming, like OpenAI's Codex and other like Cursor AI development tool, right? Like you can take what you make here and you can move this into those environments to polish things up with AI. So there are tools to make it very easy to deploy and polish things up. I think the next 6 months is to a year is going to be really cool and really exciting. And this tool should work perfectly with the things going on in the market and allow you to build bigger, more complicated projects that, quite frankly, I don't know if the other tools can do yet. So anyways, thanks for checking out VibeSheet, and I'll catch up with you on the inside, hopefully. Cheers.